Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the Materia Medica session. And today we will going to learn a very useful remedy in our homeopathic practice. In fact, in Indian population and in females, most common remedy generally happens to be there is sepia. And why the sepia is commonest remedy in Indian population, that already a video is published by me way back. Why sepia is commonly comes, and the rubrics and its variations that I have mentioned over there. I will not going to share same thing, but I will going to share something for the particulars. I have utilized the sepia, a case which was interesting enough. She was a lady married, 32 years of age, came with few important things. She was a conductor. Lady conductor are very less, but she was a conductor, and she came to me having a typical ringworms on her body, and there were many patches of ringworms, typical ringworms, the herpes circinatus, that is the peripherally spreading ringworm eruptions, and which were there marked on her abdomen, groin, buttocks, then axillas, and she has taken lot of treatment without any result. Second important thing which she was having was the varicose veins. That was very marked in her case. She was a bus conductor since last 4, 5, 6 years, and she had these problems, along with few important things which I have got from. Then I have observed that there was a typical chloasma was there on her face. The face was quite greasy. When I asked, but she was quite happy. She was not a lady who was a typical sepia-like woman. She was not indifferent. She was happy-go-lucky, but she is quite irritable. And she said that, doctor, what happens? I have to leave my house early in the morning, 6 or 7 o'clock. And I used to go return around 8 to 9 o'clock. Whole day I'm busy. And I could not even look towards my children. And there is, after going home, again I have to do a work for them. And that, because of which I get irritated a lot. Actually, my mind says that I should not go for this job, but I can't leave. My husband, he is also working, but he's not having that much salary that with which that it will be sufficient for us, and that's why I have to work. And I got luckily this job, and since 5 years I'm there, I'm now getting permanent. So how can I leave? And that disturbs me a lot. But still I'm working. Whenever I'm in the house, I'm always happy. Whenever I'm at the job, I'm always happy. Whenever I return home, I feel that I have exhausted. I want to take a rest, but it is not possible. I have to work there again. And because of which there is irritability. So the case was very simple for me. Question was whether sepia will remove that ringworms, whether sepia has the capacity to clear off that ringworm which was since 2, 3 years and which was not responding to the usual allopathic line of treatment. They have even applied the steroids for in between period with steroids. It was suppressed, somewhat palliated, and again recurred, but now not responding to anything. So question was that what to do. I have repertorized. Repertorization was very clear in my mind. Rubrics were very clear. The first rubric was undertakes things opposed to her intention. Second was that irritability exertion from. If you go with the locals, I will share the few rubrics of this, very important, one must learn. These are the rubrics which you can think. Yes. Herpetic, eruptions herpetic sarcinet ringworm. Eruptions herpetic sarcinet ringworm spring every. Eruptions herpetic sarcinet ringworm in upper part of the body. Eruptions herpetic sarcinet ringworm spots in isolated. Undertakes things opposed to her intention and irritability from exertion. These were the rubrics which definitely denotes Sepia. But I want to highlight these two, which was not the upper one, which was not there in her case, but this remedy has the action on acetabulum, hip joint disease. A very important remedy which I have utilized many times in my practice for avian. This has a very specific action on the hip joint. So that I want to share with you. And second important thing, which it is a very good remedy mentioned for the varicose veins. It is for 4 marks mentioned in the complete repertoire. So prescription was very easy for me. It is a sepia, but in which potency? When such a long-standing eruption was there, which was not responding to the regular line of treatment, so susceptibility is hampered over there, it is always better to repeat the remedy. So I have considered it is always better to start with LM in repeated doses. So I have started Sepia LM1, repeated 3 times a day for 15 days and asked her to meet me after 15 days. And when she returned after 15 days, it has started fading. Itching was controlled. There was hyperpigmentation which was already there, but the eruptions which was peripheral spreading and the elevation was there at the periphery, that has decreased, which is a very good sign in such types of eruption. So I have given continued with the sepia, but I have increased little bit potency LM1. Instead of LM1, I have raised it LM2 and continued with it. When it reached to LM6, everything was finished. And not only that, her varices also started decreasing. Her pain in lower extremities because of the exertion, that has also decreased. And third important thing, she becomes more and more happier. So this is a remedy one must learn. It has many facets, many facets. You can open up case anywhere and you get sepia. It has been mentioned that this is a preeminently woman's remedy. I will say that this is what I am getting in my practice. Many times I am getting sepia in males. Many times. I repertoire and I used to get the sepia again and again with different facets. It is not with the same things. So this is the sepia which we have to learn from the Allen's keynotes. We're going to learn few aspects of sepia in today's session and few aspects in tomorrow's session. It is a big remedy mentioned in Allen's keynotes. So let us go ahead with the Allen's keynotes, cuttlefish mollusk. Sepia adapted to persons of dark hair, rigid fiber, but mild and easy disposition. It looks very close to the pulsatilla, but pulsatilla is absolutely yielding. Sepia is not like that. Even though sepia looks to be a mild, but that mildness is against her will. Pulsatilla's mildness is original mildness. Pulsatilla doesn't have a confidence, but doesn't have their own say. Sepia has their own say. Only thing, because of ritualistic things, Sepia follows that. So this is most important thing one must consider, that even though it looks similar, that easy disposition, mild disposition, VP disposition, this thing is rather different in Sepia. Sepia weeps because Sepia, the things goes against her will. Diseases of women, especially those occurring during pregnancy, So, very important remedy during pregnancy, childbed, that is the period after delivery, around, it is called as childbed period, is called as a 6 weeks period after the delivery, and lactation, or diseases attended with sudden prostration and sinking faintness. So, diseases where sudden prostration is there because of uterine complaints, because of any feminine complaint, and there is sinking faintness, like murex, like nux moschata. This is the washerwoman's remedy, and this word one has to understand. These are the ladies who used to do a lot of work at house. They cleanse the floor, they washes the clothes, and every time they are working in water. And because of working in water, they suffers from the ringworm, because ringworm always gets increased wherever there is a moisture. And this suffers from that. So I used to ask one question to them, that whether they get the tinea pedis. Tinea pedis is nothing but the ringworm between the toes happens to be there, is called as tinea pedis. It is a tinea. Tinea is a ringworm. Pedis means in between the toes, and this is in Marathi called as chikhla. So I used to ask to always cross check that whether you get the chikhla, tinea pedis. And many times I get yes, answer is yes, because these are ladies who used to work in water and suffers from that. This is my thought. This is how I look towards the things. If you check their hands, you will get on their hands a typical ridges when they washes the clothes, they washes the pots and everything, and because of which their hands, they shows typical ridges where there is blackness, and which indicates they are working in water, working with the clothes, working with pots and all those things, cleaning, doing the cleaning of the house, and because of which their hands are made up of look like that. That is what is a sepia's hands, a washerwoman's remedy. So you can catch those things. It is a part and parcel of your observation and perceiving, which confirms, yes, this is sepia. You observe the faces, the typical butterfly-like pigmentation, chloasma on both sides, typical of, again, sepia. They have the faces where generally the faces looks like a oval shape, vertical oval, and this cheek part always comes up with a typical ridges over there or typical brown pigmentation. Many times it happens to be there on the nose also, is also sepia. Sometimes it is bilaterally symmetrical on forehead also. That is also a sepia. And the sepia is a very important remedy. Greasy face. Face greasy, you get the sepia over there. Sepia is the remedy where frowning is very marked. This type of frowning, you get a vertical frowning very commonly with sepias. This is another. You get the sepia, frown is supposed to be. So you catch that sepia at this specific level. Even this sepia is also having the cracks at the corners of mouth. It is one of the remedy. So you can catch all those things along with the emaciation of neck. It looks like a Netromure, because we learn Netromure emaciation of neck. We never look towards the repertory and find it out. Emaciation neck, you get sepia over there again. So sepia is a very big remedy, very big. It is a polycrest. Netromure is the part of sepia. We used to consider Netromure is bigger. No, Netromure has one part of sepia. That's why they are complementary to each other. So this is what we have to learn. Whenever we learn remedy, we learn this depth. The washerwoman's remedy, complaints that are brought on by or aggravated after laundry work. This is the sentence. Laundry works. They used to do a laundry work and they suffer from such types of eruptions, such types of problems. The tinea infection is quite common. This is wonderful remedy for tinea versicolor. In Marathi, we call it as a sirim. Sirim. This is a typical tinea versicolor of appears over there, pityriasis versicolor or tinea versicolor. Sepia is wonderful remedy for that. So we have to understand that aspect of the remedy. When we think about it, we must understand every word. Then he further says, pains extend from other parts to the back, reverse of Sabayana, and are attended with shuddering. Shuddering means body is as good as looking like a trembling, with chilliness, shuddering with chilliness, pulsatilla. When patient feels absolutely chilly along with the pains, then pulsatilla is the remedy. Particularly sensitive to cold air. They are very, very sensitive to cold air, affects very easily with the cold, chills so easily. They cannot tolerate the chill, they cannot tolerate the AC, they cannot tolerate the closed rooms. Lack of vital heat, especially in chronic diseases. Lack of vital heat means they lost the strength. They are so weak. That's why the rubric, diligent poor, you get the sepia over there. They are poor in constitution, poor in strength. This is what you can find it out with this remedy very commonly. So, particularly sensitive to cold air, chills so easily, lack of vital heat, especially in chronic diseases. Especially in chronic diseases, this is very, very special. If it is in acute diseases, this chilliness, if you found, then it is lead and pulse. But lead and pulse is always, the pains are there, which are felt better by ice cold application. A different modality. Even though they are chilly, they are better by ice cold application. And ascending rheumatism, which you can get in lead up. Sensation of a ball in inner parts. Very important sensation. This what happens. We used to read it in English and we keep it in our mind in English. We never consider this in patient's language, either in Marathi, Hindi. If patient talks like this, डॉक्टर काहीतरी गोळा आहे असं वाटतं. If patient talks in Hindi, डॉक्टर कुछ तो भी अंदर अंदर लग रहा है, कुछ तो भी बॉल जैसा लगता है, कुछ तो भी गोला लगता है अंदर, मुझे ऐसा लगता है वहां कुछ है. They always talks in their own language. You have to convert it in proper way. So sensation of ball in inner parts during menses, during pregnancy, during lactation, associated with constipation, associated with diarrhea, the hemorrhoids, the leukorrhea, and all uterine affections. See, whenever remedy is having the action on venous system, then you have to think about the certain things. Then varicose veins is one important thing which you are going to get. If it has action on portal venous system or portal, then definitely the varicosity is there and definitely the hemorrhoids are there. Sepia, if you open the Borix Mater Medica, in first few sentences, he has mentioned over there, it has portal congestion. Sepia is wonderful remedy having action on portal congestion, on the liver congestion. It has having a specific action on liver. And that's why varicosity is the result of it. That's why the hemorrhoids is the result of it. This is having again action on vascular action. That's why it has been mentioned in hips acetabulum. The sepia is one remedy mentioned over there. So correlate the diseases where you want the result and why do you want the result. If it has been mentioned over there that sepia, if you open the chapter extremities in complete repertory, you open directly the rubric hips and go to the sub-rubric acetabulum and sepia is mentioned. I have utilized this rubric many times in avian cases and it works. Sepia is a wonderful remedy to recover that. So these things which we have to look for where exactly and how it presents. It is a remedy for leukorrhea. Very important remedy along with the a sensation that there is something protruding from the vagina. Very typical, as if prolapse happens over there. Faints easily, that is because of poor strength. Very commonly, they get into the vasovagal shocks very commonly. After getting wet, faints easily after getting wet, faints easily from extremes of heat and cold. Extremes of heat aggravates, extremes of cold aggravates. Faints easily when riding on a carriage. So whenever they are riding on some vehicle, always gets faint. Faints easily while kneeling at church. Whenever they tries to bend forward, there is a fainting. See, very important remedy at this level. So we never take into consideration all those features. Whenever we think about Sepia, we used to think only mind, 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 but it's not so. There are many features which are related with the physicals, and those we have to take into consideration. So that is one important thing which he has mentioned over there. Coldness of vertex with headache. So headache is there, but patient says there is coldness. Doctor, I feel cold over here in the vertex. Very typical of the sepia, veratrum. These are two remedies. But in veratrum, there is sweating also. Cold sweating on vertex or cold sweating on head is there. Heat down vertex. This is a common symptom in many patients. They take doctor, यहाँ गर्म होता है, यहाँ heat लगती है. The remedies which mentioned calcarea, the graphites, the sulfur, antisoric remedies, and this is functional symptom. Functional manifestation of calcarea, functional manifestation of graphite is sulfur, which doesn't have any logical reason, but they have that sensation. That's why these are remedies one should not forget. Anxiety. Anxiety with fear. So anxiety is associated with fear. Flashes of heat over the face. See, the features related with climacteric syndrome again present in sepia. Yes, best remedy, one or number one remedy is always lachesis. Second is sanguinary canadensis. Third, one should not forget sepia. If the face is greasy, if the frowning is present, lachesis doesn't have frowning, lachesis doesn't have a greasy face. Here, one can differentiate remedy very easily over there. Flushes of heat over the face and head about the real and anxiety about real and imaginary evils. This is again a wonderful thing one should not forget. This is the thing which one has to understand. There is tremendous anxiety about the imaginary things. Then the things have not yet happened, but the anxiety remains over there. Very typically, it remains. So anxiety very marked with the imaginary evils, anxiety towards evening. So anxiety getting increased in the evening spell. Great sadness and weeping. Remedy for sadness, remedy for depression, and a weeping tendency. Weeping telling her symptoms when. Sepia is one of the important remedy, and you get commonly over there weeping tendency. It is because of n number of things which she suffered from, and that's why this weeping comes automatically. The dread of being alone. They never want to remain alone. There is fear. There is fear for opposite sex, that is males. So dread of men. Dread of meeting the friends. Dread with the uterine troubles. All those things here is associated with uterine complaints. Indifferent even to one's family. This is thing one must know. Indifferent to loved ones, indifference to one's family, indifference to one's occupation like fluoric acid and phosphoric acid. But the things are rather different in fluoric acid. Indifferent to those whom she loves the best. This is sepia, typical sepia feature. And it is a part and parcel of many things she has suffered. In greedy and miserly, like lycopodium. Sepia women, they are always greedy. They want many things, and that is very typical. They are not happy with whatever they have. Indolent, because of poor strength. does not want to do anything, either work or to play, even an exertion to think. Never wants to do anything indolent, and even never wants to think also. That much of prostration of mind is there with the sapien. So we have discussed few aspects related with the mind and the constitution of the sapia in today's session. Tomorrow we'll continue with it, and tomorrow we'll learn many aspects of many facets, but which happens to be there at particular level. This is big remedy. And even Alan has mentioned many things about sapia. So we'll finish this remedy most probably in tomorrow's session or after that. So that's all for today. Thank you being there. We'll meet again tomorrow at the same time. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night.